What we have for today is just basically touching up this website again, this part that we were not able to get through done last in our last class, and then you guys will be able to complete the rest on your own. So in our last class we talked about CSS positions, and the CSS positions that we dealt on last class was the relative position, the static position, the fixed position, absolute position, sticky position. Those were some of the ones that we used in our last class, and we were able to display some of them. Like here we made use of the fixed position here, and then for this explanation we had here, this was the absolute position. And I said that for an absolute position to occur, there must be the parent container must be in a position of relative, right?
Yes.
All right. So we're just going to go ahead and start this particular one. So let me get started. So this is I'll call it a card div because these are like cards. So I'll call it a card div instead, and get rid of this CSS that we have here, this position and all. Get rid of this part and go back here. You can decide to continue, or you can create a new HTML file. I'll continue with this one since we are working on this website. So this is going to be the card content. Okay, the div carrying everything. Okay, no, let me put this in a section to make it easier. This is going to be section, and then move this card into the section, and then take this one out and take this one out, and yes, okay. So this would have a class name of section 2. This is the second section, this is the first section, this is the second section, and then we're going to have, if there's anything that I missed, just point it out for me. Okay, so this is the card or card carrier. This is going to be the one carrying the card, and this will be the card itself. And then there are 3 cards. Yes. And then this will be the card content. And then these ones are going to be, they look like mobile phones, so mobile cards, that's what I'm going to name them. So I'm going to have the card, and inside each card I'm going to have the card content, and then I'm going to have the mobile card. Are you following? Are you there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Alright, so see, I'm going to replicate this V and then V. So far these things are clear. Let me go give them borders so that we can understand them. So I have my section 2, section 2, and then it has a border of 2 pixels solid black, and then let me say I give it a minimum height a minimum height of 400 pixels. That should be it. And then I would have my section would have the card carrier or card wrapper, anyone, card carrier, and that would be this same thing, I believe, V, but in this case this is going to be 300, and then this is going to have a margin of 30 pixels auto. For this auto to work, this should have a width. This would have a width of, say, 80%, because this looks like a width of 80%. So let me give it a width of 80%, and then I'm going to have the cards, then the cards themselves C, and then okay, I think I learned something. Okay, and V. This is going to be dot card. In this case, this is going to have, this width will no longer be here because I'm going to give this card carrier a display of, let me give this a width, a height of 200 pixels. This one would have a display of flex, and then this margin, I'm going to take it out as well for the cards, and then I'm going to give this a justify content of space around, and then I'm going to give this an align items of center, align items of center. So if we go back here now and reload this page, okay, this is what we have. So it doesn't have a width yet. So this is what we have. This is the section 2 itself, and this one is the card carrier, and these are the cards that we have. So these cards are going to have a width. They only have borders now. These cards are going to have a width of, since there are 3 of them, I'd say 30% each. And this is okay, right? Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be 85. Let me make this space a bit wider. Okay, so this is what we have. Then the next thing to do is to get this, okay, this has borders around them. This has borders and box shadows. So let me go back here and style this a bit. I think that height is a bit small. Make this 250 and give this a border radius of 10 pixels. That should be relatively okay. And then give this one a minimum height of 350, which looks better. Alright, so the next thing will be to get the card content now, because we only styled the cards itself. Then the card content is what we want to style. I'm going to take this so that I don't have to write them again, and I'm going to paste them there, and then we're going to have the card content, and then I'm going to have a minimum height of 200, a width of, they are taking the width of its parent, so I'm going to give them a width of 95%, and then give the parent a padding, just a little bit padding of 2 pixels. And then Okay, this one doesn't have a minimum height. I'll give it a mean height as well of 235, 245 pixels. This one, the parent container is 250. This is going to be 245 so that it doesn't, get on this thing. So I'll probably just give it 100%. Should I give it 98 instead? Okay, so this is what we have. This is just like an example of what we have. This container now, this stuff, this card container contains two things. It contains the card content, and it also contains the mobile card, the one that looks like mobile phones. So let's get the mobile phones working now. And then we're going to say CV. We're going to give this a margin bottom, I think, a margin bottom of 5 pixels. And then the card content is going to still be the same, but in this case, this is mobile card. Mobile cards. If we go back, we have two things here, the card content and the mobile card. It's clear so far, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is this mobile cards, they look like this. They look slender and the width is not the same with this, and they are like hanging on top of the card content. So I would go back to this and then push it up to this front part, or instead of doing it this way, why don't I move the card content up instead? The card content should be up instead. The card content is the one carrying the image. Doesn't You won't see. Okay, the difference is that is the mobile. The card content has the margin button. So I'll take this out from here and give this mobile card mobile button, margin button rather. And then so this now, let me label them so that I would know which one we're working with. This is mobile card, and this is the card content. Now what did I write? Card content. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to paste it in here and paste it in here so that we're fast. And then this is what I have, right? So the mobile cards are up and then the card content is down, which is a bit close to this. So let's get started. I'm going to take this mobile card and then give it a width of, let's say, 48%. When we go back to our own, this is how it looks like, right? So it's almost the same thing. The only thing is that it's by the right left, and we need it to move to the right. So we're going to say this card, the card, this is the card carrying it. This card is the one carrying it. So this is the one that would have a position of relative, I believe. So I'm going to give that a position of the card itself, a position of relative. It's clear why I'm giving it the relative position, right?
Yes.
The reason why I'm giving this card the relative position is because I want this mobile card to have its stop here. Let it 0 pixels start from here. So if I want to move it around, I'll use this content to control it, so that whatever happens, it's going to happen within this content. At 0 pixels, whether top, right, left, or bottom. It will be determined using this card, the card that is carrying it. That's why that card has a position of relative. Okay, so now I'm going to say I want this mobile card to have a right of 0 pixels. Okay, currently I'm going to give it a position of absolute so that I'll be able to navigate it. You see, it's now on top the card content itself, and then it moved to the right of the card itself. So I'm going to say I want it to have a top of or should I, yes, a top of minus 50 pixels. Let me see. Okay, it's moving on top of this. So at this point, it's minus 50 and is moving outside of this card content. This card is the one that is like positioning it around. So at this point, it is minus from here up to this point is minus 50 pixels. But here we have it to like a very big distance. So I'm going to say probably give it 250. Let's see how it's going to go. Okay, it's way too much. So I'll say 150. Okay, that looks better. That looks a whole lot better. All right. Another thing we notice is that it's because it's in an absolute position. It's on top of this very first one, this one that we have here. So to be able to get it to look like this, we would have to give a very big amount of space from here down to here. Okay, I even missed something. I missed this arrow down, which is supposed to be in section 1. So let's go get that. I don't know if I downloaded it in the last class, but let me check. Let me check if I have this SVG export. Okay, I think I have arrow down already. Let me check the images. This is vector. Okay, yes, the vector is there. That's one that is a vector. Let's see. Let me check this vector and see what is inside. Okay, this is the vector. I don't have any arrow down. Okay, let me download this. I'm going to say I want this to be arrow down. And you guys know how to navigate SVG export, right? It's basically an extension on Chrome that you can, once you browse it, you add the extension to your browser so that whenever you want to get images that are not downloadable by right clicking, you can just go to the SVG extension and then to give you access to them so that you can download and use it. They're basically used for images with the extension of SVG, but PNG, JPEGs, and other JPG, you can easily download those ones. So if I download this now, it's in my download. Let me see if it came in here directly. It did not. So I'll have to go to my downloads, go back here, go back to my download. Then I have arrow down. I'm going to copy this. Can I really download it before going out? I'll copy this. Go back to my desktop work. Go back to programming. Week 5. Day 1 classwork. Images, and I'll paste it here. this item, and then I have arrow down. If I go back to my browser, I have arrow down now. If I go back to my VS Code, I have arrow down. So to add this arrow down, I'm just basically going to open my section 1 since it's inside of my section 1, and then close this first div. This is the first div, and this is the second one. So I'll close this div that has section 1 child, and I'm going to go to create a new one that's going to manage the weight, and I'll say probably arrow image, and then add the image tag and have images, and inside it I'm going to take this arrow down. If we go back to our browser, yeah, that's a very huge image. So I'm going to go back to my index.css and style this arrow image using the section 1. I'd say section 1 dot arrow image, and then I'll give it, first of all, give it a width of 50 or probably 30%. Let me see how it is. Okay, it's still big. Give it in of 20%. How big is this one? So it's really small. Okay, give it probably 7%. Okay, it's a bit manageable. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a margin top and bottom. I'm giving it a margin of 70 pixels by the top and 70 pixels by the right. I'm going to give it this a width, and then it's going to come to the center. I think the top is a bit too small, too big. I mean, the top is too big, so I'll reduce the top. I'll say 60 pixels or 30 pixels to the top, or 40 instead. Right and left will still be auto, and then the bottom will take 70 pixels. Let me see how it looks like. Still the same thing. Let's see. Let me see if I can give it 10 pixels. Okay. What if I just remove the top pixel instead? Okay. The bottom part, I'm going to give this is top, right, and left. Then this is bottom. Let me see if this is okay. So it's the same thing is working. Alright. Then I'm going to give this section, because it's touching this, I don't really want it to be touching this. I think this one has its own margin button, that's why it's here. So I'm going to give this section a margin button, section itself, section a margin button, margin bottom of enter of 400 or 40 pages, if that will work, because this is actually absolute. See, it won't work because this thing is lying directly on top of it, so it can't, you can't push it down. Let me see how I'm going to get this to come down. Okay, I'll have to push the card. You remember I said you can control this by controlling the card. In the card now, the card is the one carrying the card content that we are seeing here and the mobile card itself. You guys remember, right? So to be able to push this thing down, I'll have to take this card, give it a margin top. Let me see if that will work. The card itself, I'm going to give it a margin top. of 50 pixels. Okay, see, can you see it's the one controlling this, so it's pushing it down and bringing it down. Is that clear? Alright.
Yes.
So, but because we need extra space, if we go to this point, we're going to see that the space is like a lot. So I'm going to go back and then give it a let's say margin top of 150 for the card, and then okay, it has pushed it back into this area, so that is good. So now is to start adding this card content, and then to remove all these borders that I added here, to get rid of all of these borders. Okay. To get rid of all of these borders, I'll have to add card content. So what I did here was, first of all, get the structure that I needed. This is why draw.io is very important. Like, I'll continuously say it. If you have to do this thing just by adding the content and without getting this structure, it will really confuse you a lot. So using draw.io to map out the content of what you want to create, or map out the structural part of what you want to create, will go a long way to make your coding life easier, especially if it's front end development, right? Except when you're like getting like deep into code itself, that one is different. But if you want to get the interface, the UI and everything, draw.io will go a long way. So this is just like a sketch of what I would have done if I had used draw.io. So the card contents that I have are this. So for this one, I have another thing. This is an image. So I'm just going to think I already have this image saved. What's the name of this image? Star. I think I have something like that. Star something. Do I have it? Okay, I don't. So I'm going to get it, save the image as. Okay. I'm going to save it as white star. Because if you notice, there are like two images. White star. This is like a navy blue, kind of a navy blue color, but when you hover over it, it becomes white. So that's like the difference in the two. So I'll go ahead and get bank transfers. I'll get this image, get bank transfers, and get this thing. So in my card content, my card content has two things. It has, first of all, it has an image tag, which has images folder, and then what's the name of this thing I just added now? White star, right? Okay, I already have it. I have Opay star here. Oh, I know I downloaded these things before. And this is the green arrow. I know I downloaded them. Okay. Alright, so we have the Opay star. And then I have a H3. Let me use the H3. Or let me use H2. I have transfer. Bank transfer. And then I have a bunch of texts. Can I copy this? Okay, let me see if I can inspect and get the text. Okay. Let me copy the outer HTML and then go back to my paragraph and add it. Okay, so I have this now. And then I have, in the second one, what do we have? We have instant and free debit cards. So I'm going to have this down. I'm going to take this format that I have already, see, and replicate it here and do the same for this one as well. And then for this one, I'm going to have instant and free debit, instant and free debit cards. Okay, So another one is amazing bonuses. Going to have amazing bonuses. Okay, so probably I'm going to just add Lauren so that I will not waste my time. Lauren. I'm going to take this part out because it will be too long. I'm going to add Lauren here as well. Lauren. Then take this part out. Okay. Right, so this is what I have. I'm supposed to add this in the second one. Okay. Okay, so I have this now. So if we go back to our browser, let me see what we have. Okay, so we have this. Why is this space so much? Why is this space so much? Okay. Okay.
Why is the position mobile pad touching the application bar?
It's because it's up, and one, it is absolute, so it is over it, is lying on top. Do you get?
Yes.
Once something is in an absolute position, it is on top. If you notice, every other thing goes under it, but it is lying on top, so it's more like it's hanging in the air. That's how absolute positions behave. Okay, so this is the card content. Is there anything that has a margin button there? Because it's stretching this stuff. It's supposed to be something else. Okay, let me try something. There's something else with this. Let me try not this card. The card content has a top. Let me say a bottom, and I get rid of this stuff. Okay, so it's not going to work. That's not where the problem is from. Okay, trying to figure out why this has this much space around it. Okay, let me just okay. Oh, I figured there's an image that is white in color. I forgot I added an image there. So this image seems to be very big, so let me give it a background color and see how I can fix it. This is what's the name of this image? Okay, it doesn't have a container, so let me give it a container, and then I'll say star wrapper dot star wrapper, and then paste my star image. Right, I'll just take this, see, replicate it here, and then replicate it here. You guys are still following, right?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so I'm going to give that a background color, the star wrapper. Give it a width of 30% of its parent. Give it a background color of red. Let me see how it looks like. Okay, this is how it looks like now. It's actually quite big. I'll give it a margin.
Imagine.
Yes, I want to give it a margin top of, because this image here, it has like it's very big, and has a margin top that is very big. Margin top of about 50 or 60 pixels. And then I'm going to give it, by the right, it's going to be about 30 pixels. Okay, if you notice, there's a div that is carrying this as well. There's a div that is carrying this. Or should I give it a padding? If I give it
Can I ask you a question?
yes, you can.
How will you know that there is a div carrying it?
You add the div yourself. Like this one, I'm speculating because I'm not the one that built this Opay website, right? I'm speculating what the developer could have done to position these things this way. Do you get? So in this case, is either he gave it a match, because if you check this, the amount of space from here to here is the same space that this one has from here to here. They are lying in the same order. So I'm thinking is either he gave it a div and then he gave this entire thing, he wrapped all this in a div, right? And then moved it, or he gave this card a padding that shifted it this way. Those are the two things I'm speculating happened here. So let me first of all work with a padding. So let me give the card content now, because the card content is the one carrying this thing. So I'm going to give it a padding of padding of 30 pixels. Let's see. Let me go back now. Okay, see, it has moved it. So it was actually a padding that was given. But remember that I just gave here a margin. So let me get rid of that margin and say 0 pixels. It has gone back. Do you guys understand what just happened here? Do you
Yes.
understand? If you don't understand, let me know. You don't. Let me explain to you what happened. Let me explain. So I want to replicate. 1 minute. I want to replicate what I have here. And I looked at this and I'm like, how do I get to move the content of these things away from the border? And you can do that by either giving these items here margin to push them away, or you give the parent container that carries these two things a padding. Padding is for you to move inside, move the things so that they will not be hitting the edges. You get? So it's either you give this parent a padding or you give the children a margin. Margin is to move them outside, move them from here inside. So you either give that parent padding or you give the children a margin. So I decided to go with a margin, a padding rather. So I gave this parent a padding of 30 pixels away, like padding right, move padding left, I mean. Abi? Okay, I just gave it an all round padding.
But
Top,
yes.
bottom. I didn't like specify which one I did. I gave it an all round padding. So it has a padding top, it has a padding right, has a padding bottom and a padding left. But if I wanted to just move this, I'll say padding left and it will move this way. But I gave it a padding of 30 pixels. So that is why this moved 30 pixels away from the edge. So that's what happened. The next thing I want to do now is to reduce this thing because it's looking weird and it's still very much big. So this is going to be 20%. It's smaller. You can see it's smaller. So all right. So this is what I'm going to do. All right. So it's smaller, and I'm going to give it a. The default color is white. The default color is actually blue, but when you hover on it, it's white. And to be able to get this, it's like a bit difficult to get the color, because once you hover on it, before you can get the color, it already disappeared. So there is a way to do it from this from the console or from the inspect element, but that will take me long. So the thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a property known as filter. So in this image now that I want to fix this wrapper, I'll get the image C, copy this and then paste it and do this. So I'll get that image. The image has a default color of a default background color of white, or just color, not background color now. The color of the image is white. So if you want to tweak the color of an image, right, you use what we call a filter property. And then in that filter, I'll use what we call invert. Invert means give me the opposite. If it's white, it will become black. If it's black, it will turn to white. If it's blue, it will give you the opposite of blue. I don't know the color, but it will give you the opposite of blue. That's how this invert works. Do you get? Invert means just give me the opposite. So if you add this filter property to the image itself, not the image container, the image itself, then you give it a value of invert, and it has to be 1. It goes from the value ranges from 0 to 1. There's 0.1, there's 0.2. What it means is how thick, or how transparent rather, do you want the color to look. Do you want it to be a bit transparent? Do you want it to be like opaque? That's this what this value inside this parenthesis, what they mean. Are you clear?
Yes.
Okay, so now we have given it 1. If we go back, you see that it's now black in color. It's still big, so I'll reduce this thing to 15%. Or should I even give it 10%? Okay, that's better. 10% is better. And then what I'm going to do is I'll now say on hover, I'll take this thing out. I'll copy this and I'll say on hover of this is pseudo selectors. We were supposed to discuss pseudo selectors, but you guys are not available, so I sent you the notes. So I believe you've gone through them. It's in this class. This is where we're supposed to talk about pseudo selectors, attribute selectors, this type of things. Here we have hover already. So I believe that you guys have gone through this in CSS selectors. So I'm going to add a hover to the image, and I'll say what happens with hover. Hover means when this arrow goes over something, let this happen. Just like when this arrow goes over this, the colors change to white, the background color changes to something like green, right? So if I want to achieve that, I'll say I want this image to change the filter. I want the filter to move from this invert. I'll say move it again to 0. Like change it back for me. Let me see if I can download this. Can I? Okay, I can actually save this image here. Wow, that was easy. Okay, let me save this one as blue image, or blue star. Let me be sure it, so that when I see it, I will know that that's it. Okay, so this thing I was able to get it by clicking the image itself. In my inspect element, I have this image, and once I hover over it, I'll click on this link and then get it. But instead of going through that route, I'll just add that property and change it. So on hover, let me go back to what I have here. On hover, you can see that it is now white, right? You guys are seeing it. On hover, when I hover over, when this arrow goes over it, it becomes white. Once it leaves, it it goes back to black. So that's how invert works. In at this point, we are saying let it have the full color off. Let me take this to be. Please mute your speaker if your environment is noisy. Mute your speaker if your environment is noisy. All right. So you see how it is. The opacity is now low. The transparency is higher. Can you see it? Because I said let the filter have the invert of 0.4. So if I say 0.9, you see that it's closer to black now. That's how these things work. So at this point, I'm saying let this be 1, and when I hover over it, I want it to be very transparent. That's white. That's the opposite. Hope that was clear. Was it clear?
Yes, ma.
Alright, so I'll now get rid of this background color of red, and then this is what we have, and the bank transfers. But if you guys notice, there's something that is off with this. The problem that I'm having with this is that the the height is irregular, because the reason why it is so is because these contents, they are not equal. This one just has 3 lines, this one has over 5 lines, same with this. So if you want to avoid that problem, I'll have to give this card content a higher um height. So this card content, let me say I give it a minimum height of almost 305 pixels. Let me see. It's still the same thing. Okay. Abi, let me say 355. Still the same thing, didn't really change much. Let me see if I can give this a minimum height of 350. Still the same thing. Okay, the content is making it look somehow. Alright, I'll try to fix this stuff later. But if you want to like get it to have the same height, I can say this width is a bit small. The width of this thing, the one carrying it, is a bit small. Probably I'll expand it, let me, because the image is quite big. Alright, this is better. And the reason why this thing, okay, this card, maybe I can give this a H3 and a H3. The reason I'm giving it a H3 is so that it can be a bit smaller. Do you get? Do you guys understand? I'm giving it H3 because H2 is a bit bigger, and then it's making the boxes look weird. Then I'll give it a margin bottom. Why am I having issues? What did I miss? I missed the div. Okay. Oh. Alright. I'm supposed to correct this. This is H3 as well. This is H3 and this one is H3. Okay, let me hurry up because this our time is soon end. Okay, so this is what I have. I'm now going to give it a margin button. So I'm going to say card content. The card content, I'm working with the H3 V. Margin bottom of 20 pixels. I missed H3. So if I go back, there's a space now. So this is margin bottom of H3. So the next thing is, if you check this, the star is almost at the same point with this. The star is almost at the same point with this, or a bit higher. So I'm going to bring this our mobile card. I'm going to bring it down a bit. So our mobile card, I'll say the top should be 100 pixels instead. It's down now. So the reason why it's this way, let me explain this absolute thing again because I feel like it's a bit confusing. So 150, it was 150. 150 means I want you to go 150 because of this negative sign in front of it. I just told it move, this is 0 pixels. If I take this now, top, this is 0 pixels, this is the parent carrying it, so it's 0 pixels. If I say minus 1, it will move okay, minus 1, you can't really see anything. Let me say minus 5 pixels. You see it has moved away from this top. Can you see it? So but if it goes in the positive direction, you see it's 5 pixels away from the top. This is the container carrying it. The red container is, let me give the card content, the card itself, let me give it a color of red so that you understand how it's going. It has a color of red. So let me take this back to the mobile card. Let me take it back to a top of 0 pixels. It's now directly attached to the red one. The red one is one that has the position of relative. And I said for the absolute to work, the card the one carrying it, the one you want to use to move it around must have a position of relative. So this one would help it navigate or help control its movement. So right now it has a top of 0%. If I want to move this thing down, I will say from that top, move 10 pixels away from, it's just like giving it a padding. It will move 10 pixels away. But what if I want it to go up? Like from that top, let it move up. I will now say, you know what? It's going to be negative because you're going away from me. So it's going to be 10 pixels away from the top. Hope that was a bit clear. It was clear, Abby?
It's very clear.
All right. So now I'm going to move 100 pixels away from the top. And this is how it looks like now. So it's almost in the same place. This one is at hover, it will turn to white. You can't see it because I'll still have to work on the background color. On hover, let it change to this peach color. So let me see if I can get the color. And you remember how we get colors by using what we call, can anybody help me? If we want to get a color in a website, how do we do that? By using a color picker. Very good. So I'm just going to say pick color and I'm going to put it here. So this color now is this. So I'm just going to copy it, and then I'll take it to the content. Is the card content that we're working with. Let me paste this thing here, and then I will take this C, and then the card content is the one that has this bank transfers, this image, that when you hover on it, this color will come out. That's the card content. And I'm going to take this out of here. Now say I want the background color to be this with a hash in front. And this will be the card, or when you hover on the card content, I want the background to change. So if I go back here, it's okay. I don't know. So I'm going to go over here. See, when I hover on it, do you guys notice anything? When I hover on it, it changes. But another thing I want to do is when I hover on this card content, let me take this C and then I'll put it here and explain something. When I hover on the, if you go to this website, if the color picker is no longer here, let me use this one. I don't have time for that stuff. If we hover on this, everything in here changes white. It's not when we hover on these individual items that the things change, right? Are you guys there?
Yes.
When you hover on the
Yes.
card, the card content, the items inside of it change. The colors of the items of the contents inside of it change. So, but in our case, if we hover on it, only the background color will change. Only the background color changes. Every other thing is still like that. So your question might be why. But when you hover on this directly, it will change. So to be able to do that, the hover must be inside this, and then we are going to select each of the items that we want to change. In this case, is this image I want to change. So I'm going to select this image here. I'm going to cut it out, put it here. I want this star image to have a filter X of this, and I'm going to get rid of this one. So if I go back now and hover on this, you see this one has changed. I don't need to hover directly on it anymore. So this thing says when I hover on card content is the one I gave the property, the CSS this thing of hover. I want you to change this star image, the star image, I want you to give it a filter of this. Is that clear?
Yes.
So another thing I want to also change is the H2 and the paragraph, which I can just say on hover of the star content, let the background color be dark and let the color of others. This color will affect everything inside of the card content. I'll just give it a color of white, and then once I hover on it, everything changes to white. The reason why I had to work on select this one separately is that this color will not affect it. The color property I gave here to this hover won't affect it. Let's try it out. Let me comment this one out. So at this point, this no longer holds. And then when I go back, I hover, you see that it's still like that. So to be able to also select this one, I have to do it style it separately and select the image and change this property called filter. So that's how to go about it. So if I go back and change hover on this, it's still going to be like this. Another thing I now want to do is to add this image. This is after one. Okay. Let me see when this class will end. It hasn't given me an end date. Alright. Let me see how far I can go before the class ends. Okay. Let me add the images now. I believe I have them already. Okay. I have them already. So I'll go back to the mobile card and then I'll add image here. IMG. Then I'll have images. And I'm going to have Opay transfer. One. Transfer. One. Same thing here. IMG. Images. Opay transfer to. I'm going to have, oh, I missed one here. Where is mobile card? Okay. I'm going to have image IMG. I'm going to have images and I'm going to have Opay transfer 3. Okay, so when we go back, this is what we have. And they are ridiculously small. The reason why this thing is small is that we can't see it, but this image, this is actually where it starts from, but it has its own background color of white. Let me show you how it is. Let's go back to this one. If I move this thing, this is an image. Okay, this entire thing is even an image. So I'm trying to, let me see if I can open image in a new tab. Let me see if I can open it in a new tab. Do you see how the image really looks like? So this is the entire background of the image. So that image you are seeing is not just this small thing. This is actually how it really looks like. It has its own background that we can't really see. So that is why it's looking like this in our own. So this is the entire image. So to be able to fix this, it is either I cut this extra space here out, or I will increase this the surface area of this or whatever. So let me try increasing it first. So I'm going to say the mobile card width, let me increase its width to 58%, and then it's now dragging down, it's pushing down. I'm going to say I want this, and instead of doing this, let me just screenshot it, and let me screenshot it. Let me see if I can do that. What's the name of this tool again? Clip, right? Can anybody remind me of the name of that this thing? I'm thinking is the class up? Okay, I have 15 minutes. Can both of you hear me?
Yes.
Alright. So there's a tool that I can use to clip this thing out. Can anybody remind me of that tool that I can use to clip this? Let me see. Image clip. Let me search my let me search this screenshot. Image clip. Clinton, you can't remember. We usually use it then in the other class. Let me browse and see if I can find it. Cutter. Cutter tool. Let me see. There's one on laptop. Image cutter. There's how do I cut an image on laptop? So what's the name? What's the name of this? I can't really remember the name right now. But there's a tool that every laptop comes with that you can use to cut an image. Okay, let's go with the other one. But this one will be a lot more difficult than, so this will be 68%. I want it to be as big as possible. So probably give it 88%. So this is, I think this is big enough. That means we'll have to move it right to be minus. You know why we are putting minus now? So that it can move this at this point. That background image is still here, so it wants to move this out. So I'm going to say minus 50 pixels. Let's see.
600.
100 would be a bit too much. Okay, let's use 70. 70 should do. And then at this point, I'll have to increase the stop. This stop, I'll say minus 200. If I had 200 is even very small. Okay, probably give it 250. Let's say 290. Okay, so this is now okay. This looks a lot better. So if I go out and get rid of all of the extra borders, but before I get rid of the border, I want to give this thing a box shadow. If we look at this thing has really okay. In this case, let me opay web.com. Okay, so if we go back now and look at this thing seems to have a border. It seems to have a border, the white ones, because once I over on it, it seems to have a box shadow rather, not but box shadow. So let me go and give it a box shadow. Find a box shadow, the card content. I'm going to give you a box shadow of three pixels, 5 pixels, um 13 pixels, and let me give this 8 pixels, 13 pixels. These are random numbers I'm just getting. I'm not sure of how it's going to look like. See how the box shadows look like, but it's too dark compared to the other one. So let's find a color that is better. Let me see.
It's not better.
It's not really showing like that. Let me get rid of this border so that I can see all of this because they're just everywhere. Where are the borders? All this border. All the border. Get rid of all of them. Which other border? Okay. And this section too also has a border. Okay, so far this is what we have. See, you see the box shadow. This is how it looks like. And our own has a color of white. Theirs don't have a background color of white. It has a different background color, but we're going to use this. I can't go searching for their own background color. And this thing is still up, so I'm going to give this card content a margin top. The card content, it has a is it the card content? No, the card itself has a margin top. So let me give this 200, 2000. Okay, so it's pushing it down now. So this is how it looks like. This background is supposed to be white, but ours didn't come out exactly like that. So but we use it like this. So this is how um css stuff really works. And if I give this a okay, let me get rid of all of this, get rid of all of this, and get rid of all of this. So our work is neater now and a bit clear. So this is what we have. So do you have any questions? Is there anything you'd like to ask? So from here, you guys can go ahead and try that out. If you notice, there's a difference between our own. This thing is actually an image, and this has a Z index. This stop has a Z index. So you asked me a question before that is going over the top. It's going over this. So to be able to
Yes.
get rid of it, I would give this one a Z index of 1000. Z index means like let it be above every other like absolute. Z index is just for this kind of problems. So let me go to that nav bar, the header itself. Give it a Z index of 1000. You see that we have fixed that problem now.
Okay.
So we gave it a Z index of 1000. So for that sort of thing not to appear, use Z index. But the problem would be if you give z index to this image, it will lie like under this content. Let me give you an example. If you give it a minus z, where is the mobile card? This is the mobile card, right? And I give it a z index of minus 1000. You see that it's outside, like it's lying behind this. The reason why it's lying above is because the background of this thing is white at this point, but once it goes back to this color on over, you see that it's lying above it. So this z index is for when you actually want one to be above the other. That's like an explanation. So we have been able to fix this now, so you guys can go ahead and fix other ones. So this one should be a lot easier. Check out everything we've learned. This is an image, right? You just add the image and then get the background color, the color picker, add this. You already know how to do this. I explained this. It's just like what we did here in Beyond Banking. We're able to achieve that by using span. We used span to do that. No, okay, this is the header. No, this is the header. In our section 1, we made use of span. We had a H2. This was we are. I gave this a background, its own color, and I gave this its own color using span. So, Clinton, you can drop your number on the chat so that Chimile can get to you if he has any questions, or if he has anything he would like to ask you. Do you get me? So that you guys can talk and chat and do assignments together. Chimele, you said you don't know how you can submit your assignment. I don't know how I'm going to explain this thing to you. I've told you, if you want to submit your assignment to me, you use WhatsApp. When you go to your WhatsApp, for example, WhatsApp, my time is almost ending. Okay, so this is you now. Let me say you want to send me something. You go to the chat, click on add, you click on file. When you get to the file, you go to where the document you want to send is saved. I want to send today's class now. Today's class has index and index.html, CSS. You click on this, and once you open it, it opens inside here. You get the CSS and attach it, it opens. Do you get me?
Yes,
So don't tell me you can't submit your assignment again. That will be all. You guys can go through this and complete this. So by next class, we are going to something totally new. So we'll not go through this again. I think I've been able to exhaust to a great extent CSS positioning and display flex and all that. So that will be all. Have a great day. Our next meeting will be on Friday, and on Friday our classes are going to be earlier by 9 a.m. Do you guys are you guys free on that time? 9 a.m. to
no,
10 a.m. So
I'm
that
not
means we are going to
exactly
push it to to evening class then. 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
yes. Okay, much better.
Alright then. Have a great day.
Clinton,
You can drop
can I
your
get the number again?
you can drop the number on the chat so that you guys can get connected.
Yeah, the chat.
By chat I mean go to this you can type your message. If you want to type your message on the chat, you type your messages here. Okay, the number is already there, so get it
Okay,
there. Yes. Alright. If there's any change on the Friday class, I will inform you tomorrow if we're going to go with our normal classes or before then. So I'll keep in touch with you guys. So have a great day.